You're pausing Google Ads way too soon, and it's killing your growth. In this live coaching call, I'm working with a media buyer who made decisions based off of incomplete data, simply because he didn't wait long enough. In the next few minutes, I'm actually going to show you exactly where to look, where to go inside of Google Ads to determine and understand this thing called conversion lag. I'll show you exactly where to look inside of your Google Ads account and how this insight can actually transform how you are truly measuring the efficacy of Google Ads. So stick with me as we go live through this account. So one thing to kind of note with that CAC right there on the April 28th, what we have to figure out is if there is a longer conversion delay, because if that's the case, then we really can't be measuring that just right there on the, what April 28th is. So let's see what okay. So yep, first interaction. Okay, 1.8 days. So we need to take 2 days out. So you can basically account for the first day, accounting for about 70% of your sales. And then you can expect 30 more percent, probably within 5 days, I would assume. But if you scroll down there might be some potential.
Let's take longer period. So
Yep.
it looks like this, 1.6.
Okay. Yeah. 1.6. And then, after 13 days, you have about 5%. So it's not like a massively long conversion lag, but there is, I would definitely exclude like the last 2 to 3, potentially 2 to 4 days from analysis. Anytime you're analyzing the account, because it's not fully updated yet. So that'd be something I would consider. So if you go back to the campaign level there, and we basically do April 2nd and then exclude the last 4 days. So it'd be April 2nd to like April 27th.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see how that's exactly, I think, my point is, yes, recently the cost per acquisition went up, but it's not fully reporting everything as of yet. However, you do have is it conversions by time, or is it just conversions right there?
Everything is by time.
Okay. So
it's by time. Yeah.
So there is like that can be a leading indicator as to where it's going. So I would do conversions by time and then also see conversions like next to each other and kind of see what that does. Now, before when we had that up, it was pretty much relatively the same. Yeah, it's the one right above.
Yeah.
Just the conversions there. Yeah, so it's pretty much the same, but I think the thing to account for here is not trying to make decisions based off of the last 4 days and making sure that when you make a change that you wait at least wait the 4 days and then wait another basically 3 conversion cycles to measure if that change has actually produced better results. So if we're looking at about 4 days, 3 cycles, we're looking at about 16 days, right? So, which is a hard thing to do, right? As a PPC specialist, you want to be in there, you want to make sure that things are going, you're course correcting and all that, but you may not let the dust settle enough before making changes. So week of April, I'm trying to remember how many changes there were, but I think there were probably maybe a week or 2 in between changes from what I remember.
Yeah.
So I would probably, wait that the 3 conversion cycles to really fully measure, and then you'll have a little bit more statistical evidence on whether something is working or not, because the results, as you're looking at things now, you're like looking at things at the time period that you're looking at them, but it was probably changes prior to it that were actually influencing the changes during the actual results during that time period. So if you don't let Google's machine learning work and give it the space that it needs, it's going to fluctuate in performance a lot. So one of the hardest disciplines, I think, for Google Ads specialists is to wait the amount of time that the conversion lag is basically saying.
Agree. Just let me make it clear. So you're saying that, for example, that here we have 1.6 average days to conversion, but I also should consider these conversions, right, that are happening on second, third, fourth day, right? So I should think about sales cycle is when for about like 90% of conversions are reported, right? So in our case, it would be like about 4 days, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, about 4 days seems to be bringing in 3 plus 2-ish% plus 3. So, I mean, you're, and then 84 at the, so probably around 90% within 4 days. And then the remaining 10%, afterwards, like think about it as that. That's why I'm kind of saying, like, think about it as 4, but typically that'll be like safe. But think about the fact that, okay, 4 days on average is giving me 90% of the reported conversion value. That's how I need to measure. So,
sorry, say it again, please. Say it again.
Yeah. So like 4 days is essentially reporting like you're getting 90% of your conversions within 4 days. You can expect, based off of the history here, that a remaining 10% will come in afterwards. So when you're measuring, think about things that way, especially if you're analyzing the last 4 days. If you're analyzing yesterday, then think about the fact that right here it says 84%. I've seen in other date ranges it's saying 70% or 80%. And so think about it as there's a range of like potentially conversions coming in anywhere from 15 to 30% more than what you're seeing that day, yesterday. So that will help you to know, okay, is this directionally going where I want it to go, or is this totally tanking? So it's kind of like benchmarking those initial kind of touch points. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. I understood this, but now it's much clearer for me. Yeah, thanks.
It's a hard concept, I think, to grasp. And every account has different conversion lags. But if you go back to your campaign level and hover over the conversions, could you add in the conversions column down below?
Oh, yeah, you mean here? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay, so the conversions column, where is, oh, there it is. So hover over like the top one there. So you see how actually change the date range from the 2nd to the 27th and include the last couple days.
Okay, 27 and 1st May.
Yeah, we can try that. If that doesn't work, then we might need to include today, but let's see. Okay, include today. And sometimes Google can be really finicky on displaying this, but Okay, hover over it again, the conversions. You see the underline right there on
Yeah.
the, yep. So hover over that. You can see here for this date range, the bid strategy is
70.
projected to receive 1.26 more conversions, resulting in 10.25 conversions. And it takes up to 1 day
Yeah.
after an impression for most of the conversions data to be reported. So this is a way to kind of see that within here. And I think the interesting thing is like I said before, like you can kind of look at this and be like, okay, I can expect 87% of the conversions to come in today, and then the remaining 13%, after today. And so being able to measure that properly will help you. This is another good visual. Anything that has an underline there, you'll be able to kind of see that on a campaign level. And so if you go over to the top campaign there and hover over that, every campaign is going to have a slightly different conversion lag. And so this one, you can account for, 94% today, and then the remaining 6, remaining 5 in 4 days, and potentially the last 1% later. And so on campaign names, I'm putting in at the end, like, what is the typical conversion lag for that specific campaign?
Interesting.
And so it's like, I kind of type it out like with one of those, I don't even know what it's called, one of those lines, and then a 4D for this, in this case. And then I put in the date on the campaign after that on the last day that I made a change. That way I know quickly I made a change to that campaign on this day. That has a typical conversion lag of 4 days. I need to wait 16 days before I can go in and assess whether that has worked or not, and do that on a campaign level. Yeah, that's perfect. So,
Well, this is smart, super smart. Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
and so that just like, then you can go
Nice.
into any account and just be like, okay, I know what's going on, and I know how to measure this, instead of going back into change history and figuring out what the heck he did and all of that. So, yeah, I think that's, no one is doing this that I know of, but it kind of helped me to organize it in all of the campaigns I'm running.
This is really good. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm making these notes, but they're like more like on account level, but also adding this conversion lag. Oh my God, this is super smart.
So before you pause a campaign, make sure you check your conversion lag. Typically, people turn off campaigns way too early. This insight could probably save you a lot of time and money and figuring out why something is or isn't working. So if you haven't already, make sure you drop a comment. Let me know if you've been burned by a campaign. I'd love to hear your story, and reach out if you want some help with your campaigns, if you want coaching, if you want help with management, please let me know, and I'd love to chat with you. In this next video, I'm actually going to be continuing this series of live coaching where I coach Andrew. See you next time.